Good morning. Welcome to another daily reading. This is Genesis 50 and Luke 6. I read from the Institute for Scripture Research, the ISR, because it takes a direct translation from Hebrew to English, Greek to English, and Aramaic to English. Yah is short for YahWeh, Yahweh, Yod-He, Vav-He, Yahuwah. It's like saying Dan, Daniel, Daniel with an E. What is the difference and does matters when people say that Phil, Bob, Sam, and Aaron are the same name? When no, they're not, and no one in their right mind would ever believe that, and only a fool would believe that a hammer can force its creator to do anything, and there was no letter J in the Hebrew, Greek, or Aramaic text because the letter J is about 600 years old, while the son of Elohim, Yahoshua the Messiah, sweat blood and was brutally murdered and resurrected on the third day for the sins of all of humanity over 2,000 years ago. And a direct translation from Hebrew to English, Yeshua, which is short for Yahoshua, is Joshua, not Jesus. Jesus is Greek for Hail Zeus. Joshua just means Joshua. And the son of Elohim's name, Yahushua, means Yah is salvation. Yah will save his people from their sins. Where is Yah in Jesus? I'll tell you what, it doesn't exist. Genesis 50. And Yosef, Y-O-S-E with a half a check mark P-H, fell on his father's face and wept over him and kissed him. And Yosef commanded his servants, the physicians, to embalm his father. So the physicians embalmed Israel, Y-I-S-R-A apostrophe E with a half a check mark L, who, by the way, was a Hebrew. And the 12 tribes of Israel were also Hebrew. And 40 days were completed for him, for so are completed the days of embalming, and the Mitzrites, M-I-T-S-R-I-T-E-S, which is the Egyptians, wept for him 70 days. And when the days of weeping for him were past, Yosef spoke to the household of Pharaoh, saying, If now I have found favor in your eyes, please speak in the hearing of Pharaoh, saying, My father made me swear, saying, See, I am dying, bury me in my burial site, which I dug for myself in the land of Canaan, K-E-N-A apostrophe A-N. And now please let me go up and bury my father and return. And Pharaoh said, Go up and bury your father as he made you swear. And Joseph went up to bury his father, and with him went up all the servants of Pharaoh, the elders of his house, and all the elders of the land of Mitzrayim, and all the house of Joseph, and his brothers, and his father's house. Only their little ones and their flocks and their herds they left in the land of Goshen, G-O-S-H-E-N. And there went up with him both chariots and horsemen, and it was a very great company. And they came to the threshing floor of Atad, A-T-A-D with a line underneath of it, which is beyond the Yarden, Y-A-R-D-E with a half a check mark N. And they lamented there for a great and very heavy lamentation, so they were very upset. And he performed 7 days of mourning for his father. And when the inhabitants of the land, the Canaanites, saw the mourning at the threshing floor of Atad, they said, This is a grievous mourning for the Mitzrites. That is why its name was called Abel Mitzrayim, A-B with a line underneath of it, E with a half a check mark L, Mitzrayim, which is Egypt, M-I-T-S-R-A-Y-I-M, which is beyond the Yarden. And his sons did to him as he had commanded them, for his sons brought him to the land of Canaan and buried him in the cave of the field of Machpelah, M-A-K with a line underneath of it, P-E with a half a check mark L-A-H, before Mamre, M-A-M-R-E with a half a check mark, which Abraham, A-B with a line underneath of it, R-A-H-A-M, bought with the field from Ephron, E-P-H-R-O-N, the Hittite, H with a dot, I-T-T-I-T-E, as property for a burial site. And after he had buried his father, Joseph returned to Mitzrayim, he and his brothers and all who went up with him to bury his father. And when Joseph's brothers saw that their father was dead, they said, What if Joseph hates us and pays us back all the evil which we did to him? Are they still worried about that? You think he would have just slayed them right there when they first came out. Then again, I don't know. He was probably thinking more about his father. But then again, evil, wicked people tend to just not think and just do things right on the spot. They care about what happens in the moment, and that's it. And they only care about what happens in the moment for them. So if they don't get to slaughter people in the moment, then it doesn't matter. Then again, there's other people who will wait 30 years just to kill somebody. So, I don't know. And they sent word to Joseph, saying, before your father died, he commanded, saying, this is what you are to say to Joseph. I beg you, please forgive the transgression of your brothers and their sin, for they did evil to you. And now please forgive the transgression of the servants of the Elohim of your father. And Joseph wept, and they spoke to him, and his brothers also went and fell down before his face, and they said, see, we are your servants. And Joseph said to them, do not fear, for I am in the place of Elohim. Do not fear, for am I in the place of Elohim? Oh yeah, so he's saying he isn't the judge, so you don't have to worry. And you intended evil against me, but Elohim intended it for good, in order to do it as it is this day, to keep a great many people alive. And now do not fear, I provide for you and your little ones. So he comforted them and spoke kindly to them. And Joseph dwelt in Mitzrayim, he and his father's household. And Joseph lived 110 years. And Joseph saw Ephraim's, Ephraim, Ephraim's children to the third generation, the children of Maker, M-A-K with a line underneath of it, I-R, son of Menashah, M-E-N-A-S-H-S-H-E-H, were also born on Joseph's knees. And Joseph said to his brothers, I am dying, but Elohim shall certainly visit you and bring you out of this land to the land of which he swore to Abraham, to Yitzchak, Y-I-T-S-H with a dot, A-Q, and to Jacob, Y-A-A-Q-O-B with a line underneath of it, which is James. And Joseph made the children of Israel swear, saying, Elohim shall certainly visit you, and you shall bring up my bones from there. And Joseph died, being 110 years old, and they embalmed him, and he was placed in a coffin in Mitzrayim. That's awesome. Hallelujah. Forgiveness. It's amazing. Luke 6, and it came to be on the Sabbath that he went through grain fields, Yahushua Messiah, he went through grain fields, and his taught ones were plucking the heads of grain, and were eating, rubbing them on their hands, them, the corn, the grain on their hands. And some of the Pharisees said to them, why are you doing what is not right on the Sabbath? And Yahushua answering them said, have you not read what David, D-A-W-I-D with a line underneath of it, did when he was hungry, he and those who were with him? How he went into the house of Elohim, took and ate the showbread, and also gave some of those with him, which is not right for any but the priests to eat. And he said to them, the son of Adam, A-D with a line underneath of it, A-M, is master of the Sabbath. And it also came to be on another Sabbath that he entered into the congregation and taught. Teaching on the Sabbath in the congregation is 100% okay. That's kind of what we're supposed to do when we come together on the Sabbath. To read the word, how they read the word before everybody on the Sabbath. Yeah, this is the same thing. You're not reading to non-believers, you're reading to believers. That's why they go out into the streets and preach on every other day but the Sabbath. On the Sabbath, they go into their congregations to teach. And it also came to be on another Sabbath that he entered into the congregation and taught, and there was a man whose right hand was withered, and the scribes and Pharisees were watching him closely, whether he would heal on the Sabbath, for them to find an accusation against him, which, by the way, they had none. They arrested him out of envy. That's not evidence. Envy is not evidence. I don't care how many stupid fools believe that envy is evidence. It's not. And he knew their thoughts, and said to the man who had the withered hand, rise and stand in the midst. And he rose up and stood. Then Yahushua said to them, I ask you, is it right to do good on the Sabbath, or to do evil, to save life, or to destroy it? And looking around at them all, he said to the man, "Stretch out your hand." And he did so, and his hand was restored sound as the other. But they were filled with folly, and were speaking with one another what they should do to Yahushua. And in those days it came to be that he went out to the mountain to pray, and was spending the night in prayer to Elohim. And when it became day, he called near his taught ones, and chose from them 12, whom he also named emissaries. Shimon, whom he also called Kêpha. Shimon is Shim', who he also called Kêpha, Ke with a half a check mark, Pha. And his brother Andri, Andri is Andri, and Jacob, and Yohanan, Yoh with a dot, Anan, which is John. Philip, Philip, and Bartholomew, Bartholomi, Mattathiah, which is Matthew, Matthatyahu, and Toma, T'Oma, Jacob, the son of Alphi, Alphai, and Shimon, the one called Ardent One, capital A and capital O. Yehuda, Yehud with a line underneath of it, AH, the son of Jacob, and Yehuda from Querioth, Qerioth, who also became the betrayer. So Yehuda, son of Jacob, is good, but Yehuda from Querioth was the one that betrayed. And coming down with them, he stood on a level place with a crowd of his taught ones, and a great number of people from all Yehuda and Jerusalem, Yerushalayim, which is Jerusalem, Jerusalem, and from the coast country of Sor, Tsor, and Sidon, Tsid with a line underneath of it, On, who came to hear him and to be healed of their diseases, and those who were troubled with unclean spirits, and they were healed, and all the crowd were seeking to touch him, for the power went out from him, and healing them all. And he lifted up his eyes toward his taught ones, said, Blessed are the poor, because yours is the reign of Elohim. Blessed are you who hunger now, because you shall be satisfied. Blessed are you who weep now, because you shall laugh. Blessed are you when men shall hate you, and when they shall cut you off, and shall reproach you, and cast out your name as wicked. For the sake of the Son of Adam, rejoice in that day, and leap for joy, for look, your reward is great in the heaven. For that is how their father treated the prophets. But woe to you who are rich, because you are receiving your profit. Woe to you who have been filled, because you still hunger. Woe to you who are laughing now, because you shall mourn and weep. Woe to you when all men speak well of you, for thus their fathers did to the false prophets. But I say to you who are hearing, love your enemies, do good to those hating you, bless those cursing you, and pray for those insulting you. And to him who hits you on the one cheek, offer the other also. And from him who takes away your outer garment, do not withhold the inner garment either. And give to everyone who asks of you. And from him who takes away what is yours, do not ask it back. And as you wish men do to you, you also do to them in the same way. And if you love those loving you, what favor have you? For sinners too love those loving them. And if you do good to those doing good to you, what favor have you? For even sinners do the same. And if you lend to those, fancy English, to those from whom you expect to receive back, what favor have you? For even sinners lend to sinners to receive as much back. Rather love your enemies and do good and lend, expecting none in return, and your reward shall be great, and you shall be sons of the Most High, because he is kind to the thankless and wicked ones. Therefore be compassionate as your Father also is compassionate, and do not judge, and you shall not be judged at all. Condemn not, and you shall not be condemned at all. Forgive, and you shall be forgiven. Don't forget that the entire Torah is your judge. That is your line. If you do not try to meet that line, you will not make it. If you do not attempt to keep Yahweh's word, you do not love Yahweh. Give, and it shall be given to you, a good measure, pressed down and shaken together, and running over shall be put into your lap. For with the same measure with which you measure, it shall be measured back to you. And he spoke a parable to them. Is a blind able to lead a blind? Shall they not both fall into a pit? A taught one is not above his teacher, but everyone perfected shall be like his teacher. And why do you see the splinter in your brother's eye, but are not aware of the plank in your own eye? Or how are you able to say to your brother, Brother, let me take out the splinter that is in your eye, but not seeing the plank in your own eye? Hypocrite, first take the plank out of your own eye, and then you shall see clearly to take out the splinter that is in your brother's eye. For a good tree does not yield rotten fruit, nor does a rotten tree yield good fruit. For each tree is known by its own fruit. We are the trees, by the way. For they do not gather figs from thorns, nor do they gather grapes from a bramble bush. B-R-A-M-B-L-E. I don't know what that is, a bramble bush. I'll have to look that up. The good man brings forth what is good out of the good treasures of his heart, and the wicked man brings forth what is wicked out of the wicked treasure of his heart. For out of the overflow of the heart his mouth speaks. And actions speak louder than words. But why do you call me Master, Master, and do not do what I say? So people who are like, oh, I'm a believer, but you don't do as he say, you will not enter the reign of Elohim. Everyone who is coming to me and is hearing my words and is doing them, not just hearing, but also a doer of the word, I shall show you whom he is alike. He is like a man building a house who dug deep and laid a foundation on the rock. And when a flood came, the stream burst against the house, but was unable to shake it, for it was founded on the rock. But the one hearing and not doing is like a man who built a house on the earth without a foundation, against which the stream burst, and immediately it fell, and the ruin of that house was great. So people who are not doers of the word and just hearers of the word are not believers. That's what the word says. Don't be a fakey flake. Follow the word. The Torah is 100% doable. Stop wasting away your own salvation. Hallelujah.